This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
In early 1864, then, Hill Country secessionists were confronted with a host of problems that seemed to grow worse by the day. A potential invasion by the Union Army or Unionist renegades, Confederate forces too weak to prevent Union recruiting operations deep inside the state, growing bands of deserters and criminals along the frontier, the imminent transfer of the only military force they placed any faith in, and a spate of real and threatened violence directed at their property and persons. Their response was driven by both real threats and by deep-seated cultural fears surrounding the collapse of social order. Facing growing threats to their homesteads and property, local secessionists embarked on a campaign that exhibited all the hallmarks of 19th-century American vigilantism. On February 1, 1864, 16-year-old John S.C. Turknett was captured by fellow Kerr Countians James and Joseph Glenn and William and A.J. Paul. John's father was the notorious Unionist bushwhacker Philip B. Turknett. The Turknetts were stock raisers who had moved to Kerr County sometime after the summer of 1860. They were also related to the Unionist Henderson family, whose patriarch Seabird Henderson had been hanged on Spring Creek in August 1862 during the crackdown on the ULL. After his capture, John Turknett was interrogated about his father's whereabouts, and according to some sources he was tortured. He was then killed, with sources differing as to whether he was beaten to death, drowned, or hanged. The vigilantes interrogated several other individuals to gather intelligence on bushwhacker activities. On or about February 21st, Richard Joy and his younger brother William were detained at their home on the James River in Kimball County. The vigilantes placed nooses around the men's necks, accused them of disloyalty, and demanded to know where Joy's older brother John and father William Wiley Joy were. The troops swore that the other Joys would hang too. According to William Joy, finding they could get nothing out of me, they made me swear that I would never tell anything about what they had done. Stock raiser Henry Hudson was also interrogated, and Yano County farmer John Larimore was allegedly offered payment to betray Philip Turknett and John Joy. A few days later, the vigilantes struck again. When Kreider was captured attempting to purchase ammunition in Fredericksburg, troops in the Frontier Regiment discovered that Louis Schutze was his contact for the ammunition. Schutze was a Fredericksburg school teacher and served as a justice of the peace, county militia enrolling officer, and captain of a militia unit. In addition to supplying ammunition to Unionist bushwhackers, Schutze was accused by secessionists of failing in his duty to turn out the militia during the governor's call the previous year, and of demanding payment in specie as a bribe from those who wanted to avoid activation for militia service. According to secessionist Thomas C. Doss, there being some observing men in the county, this and other convincing evidence obtained from various sources created some excitement in this and adjoining counties, and Schutze became a hangerband target. On the evening of February 24, 1864, a group of 15 to 20 hangerband members rendezvoused at the community church in Fredericksburg. The group was led by vigilante leaders James P. Waldrop, John W. Caldwell, and William Paul. They rode to Schutz's house and called for him to come out. Schutze refused, ran to another part of the house, and began to call for help through an open window. A vigilante fired a shot through the window, and Schutze huddled on the floor with his 19-year-old daughter, Louise. The vigilantes then forced their way into the house and searched it until they found their intended victim. They struck him on the head with the butt of a gun and dragged him outside, as Schutze pleaded for the men to think of my wife and children. Louise was restrained by two of the Gibsons' sons as her father was forced out of the house. The last words she heard from him were, "Louise, they will hang me." The vigilantes allegedly stole several weapons, around $400 in Confederate money, and a number of other items before leaving the house. Several Fredericksburg residents heard the commotion and started toward Schutz's house, but were deterred by the large body of men assembled outside of it, some of whom threatened to kill anyone who interfered. The citizens then ran to the church and began ringing.